much of step 1 to 5 that you've done today. You start culling customers, you start culling stuff that's not working, you're automating inventory forecasting. Like basically this is financial analysis is feeding this now. And I'll share what we did there. Oops. Okay, so first the golden scaling opportunity. In most of the scaling stuff you'll read, it's going to be about how do you yourself scale internally, an organic scale. But I think the big opportunity is to just go buy out a company, or is to go and buy out a business. Now that happens at the top end of town, where you'll find like BHP bought someone else, but that doesn't mean you can't do that. Okay, so that's another whole day seminar there, but just want to share with you that's something you should consider if you are in a business and looking to grow. Okay, so we deconstruct performance. So here what I do is lifetime value is splits itself up into customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value, that splits up into the monthly revenue, the contribution margin, the customer life, and all the way up till all the data points. So when someone says, you know what, we should increase our customer lifetime value, yeah, but it's made up of its component pieces. So what you want to do is not just get focused on that number, but start focusing on the pieces that make up that. So that way you know which lever to pull. That's what you're doing here. You're trying to find the levers that results in the metrics changing. And that's going to result then in actions to take, real world actions to take to affect that particular metric. Right, so this is a part of a spreadsheet I used to run when I ran that other business. Is you split up like return on net operating assets all the way into component pieces. You see what's happening at a granular level, what's happening within the organization to affect return on investment. And that's a multi-year spreadsheet that I ran to make sure that I had my pulse on everything. We had a monthly one as well where we would, so if that number dropped, then I could go and work out where in here what's going on. And then this is actually a smaller part of a much larger spreadsheet. So you really, at a granular level, know what's going on. That's going to, end of the day, affect your return on investment. Right? Because data maps to valuation, as all of you have seen, once you've done your franchising type of standard operating procedures, how it affects higher valuations. That's basically what it is. Right? So you knowing which lever to pull is how we were able to do this, because we broke everything down into its component pieces. Okay, now phase 1, still part of that, systemization. I won't cover much here because the whole day's been about that. But basically you process map the whole business. That's the whole thing. You want to have those business process maps that we saw earlier today. That facilitates needs analysis. You know what systems you're missing, what processes you're missing, what people capability you need, what the financials look like, what reporting we'll need to make sure we know what's going on with all the other stuff, and then lastly the funding you'll need to fulfill the growth plans you might have. And then you basically work towards closing the gaps. That's the whole point. All right, new technology. We've all said go get Asana or whatever it is. End of the day, it's not just about the tool you pick, it's training. Before we implemented an ERP system in the other business, we had about 3 months of training on an ERP system before we installed it, so that the day you install it, they don't freak out. And that's resulted in one of the fastest adoption rates. It was Microsoft Dynamics AX, which is a high-end ERP system that Microsoft sells. They actually sent people over to study how the hell do we install everything in a weekend. It's because of training. As a result, we didn't pay them any money. Because normally what's going to happen is when you do large-scale implementations, the greatest cost is the training and implementation. So how do you shrink that cost down? It's by taking the training on board and doing it yourself before they come on site. All right, so we outgrew the system. So we implement another ERP system, and then we outgrew that. And we implement another one, and then we outgrew that. So this kind of, it wasn't that we weren't aware of the growth we were having, but it's just so difficult to work out where you're going to break until you break it. It's some of these things are unforecastable. So that's the point I'm trying to make here, is that you might still break a lot of stuff. Okay, so fast growth has nonlinear effects. So you'll grow in many directions at the same time, and each area of growth has an effect on other areas at the same time. So this is the point I'm trying to make, is that let's say you've made some positive changes, all of a sudden starts growing. Let's say you've gone from 100 leads a month to, let's say, 10,000 leads a month. You're going to break a lot of things in that business. So which is why you just want to be ready for the fact that you know what, maybe slow it down a bit, rather than get greedy and try and capture all that, and as a result, don't fulfill on the promises you're making your customers, because then you won't have a business. All right, and phase 3 is the revenue growth part. Our scaling could have failed, actually, and possibly sent us broke. I make this point that the success we've enjoyed could have been largely due to luck. And I don't want to because one of the things we see certainly in the online world is this whole narrative bias, where they give you this 10-step formula, except the 99 steps, the other 990 steps have been omitted because they didn't work. Unfortunately, you need those other 990 to get the 10. So you need the full 1,000 actually. All right, that's the point I'm trying to make here. And the minute you commit to a strategy is the reason why you will be successful, but it will also be the reason why you fail. And that's called the strategy paradox. Is the minute you start committing to something, you can't commit to anything else. So making sure that if you do go all in, know that that's going to be the outcome. So don't go all in. So spread your risks. And I think that'll be one way around it. Wait for feedback. All right, this is scaling in reality. The wheels will come off. And lastly, if you do end up scaling well, then you might end up with this. But I make no promises. Thank you.